All right, so it is the 6th of July, and today is one of my friend's weddings. So that's why I'm dressed up and look a little bit 70s. I didn't give a writing update yesterday. I don't know what's up with me. Now that it's Camp NaNoWriMo, I'm like focused on getting the words, and I'm not following like exactly the same routine that I would when I was just writing and vlogging, because I want to get the words first, and then after I get the words I'm like, well, what's the point of the vlog then? So anyway, I got about, let's see, handy dandy record keeping. So on the 5th I wrote 310 words, on the 7th I wrote 366 words, and again my goal is only like 240 to 250 words per day, so it's totally achievable basically. That was my point, honestly. And then just to see how much I write and to participate in the camp aspect. So today I've only written like 90 words so far. I'm gonna write a bit more. I did actually write another of those word/photo inspired blurbs first thing this morning, so I can share that. I didn't film any of it, but it is it's about basically being a woman working on a like embroidery project. So that's what that is. I actually really enjoyed that process. I am really finding value in doing those little writing, prompt-based writing things. I have to write. I asked my camp folks this question, and hopefully somebody can give me some advice, but basically the question is, I need to write a scene where my main character is doing some calculations, and I don't know how to write that. I don't think I've read very much of like somebody doing calculations. I'm not going into detail, partly because the science is a little bit made up. Basically, she has access to some new information and she can do some new calculations, and these people are waiting on her doing these calculations to figure out what their next move is. And that's like really the important part, is that these calculations will give them the answer. So it's really important to show this scene of her making these calculations, but actually writing that down is challenging. I mean, like, I've done my fair share of, you know, working through like physics problems and dynamics and statics and all that, and I've never thought about how you would narrate that, because you're kind of in that flow state when you're doing calculations where you're just kind of in it. And I think that's what I'm gonna try to write, is like her focus is so on this kind of second nature project for her that she's kind of not, she's like removed from the world a little bit when she's doing these calculations. So I think that's what I'm gonna try to achieve today, and then after that I think I'm gonna eat some lunch and then go to a wedding. So that should be fun. I am excited. Hello. Today is the 6th? Nope. It's the 8th. Wow, okay. Today is the 8th of June, and Wow, it's already been a week of Camp NaNoWriMo, and I haven't edited my vlogs for that yet. Sorry, not on the ball. Anyway, I just wrote a little snippet for my daily writing prompt thing that I'm doing. So I've written some words for that. That doesn't count for my Camp NaNoWriMo goal. And so I'm going to be writing for my novel now. Here's the thing. I've been reading Becoming a Writer by Dorothea Brand, and because she starts with like kind of fundamental things of you need to like start from yourself and you need to kind of observe the world around you, take in life without as many words, and also and while saying that, take in life without words but give words to what you're experiencing. That's kind of a weird way to paraphrase it. And then also, like getting more into your unconscious mind. So letting your brain do most of the work for you without all of the effort. And I feel like I do put quite a lot of effort when I'm writing into like what's going to happen and figuring things out. And this is where I'm getting a little bit concerned, I guess, on my current project. And I know this isn't something that you, like, people as writers don't really like to hear this kind of thing. And I don't either, but I think my story is going in the wrong direction. I'm fine with it. I think I'm going to continue with what I'm doing because I'm basically just writing a different story than I thought I would write, and I think if I had started at a more fundamental level of figuring out some things beforehand, I wouldn't be writing what I'm writing. So here's the deal. I wanted to write a story about a long-distance relationship and to use wormholes and instantaneous travel as kind of like a way to show the long distance relationship, if that makes sense. So if you take a relationship that is long distance and then you make it not that very quickly, what happens? And so this is based on some of my experience with being in a longer distance relationship and then not. And then just moving in with the person, basically, which I had a great time with, honestly. And I just wanted to tell a story about that kind of thing. And I'm totally not telling that kind of story. Now I'm telling a story where there is a long distance couple who is now suddenly reunited, but there's a big plot about a government conspiracy and wormholes, and the government's coming to get you, which is completely a different story. And I think I have this problem sometimes, and I couldn't put my finger on it really until reading some of the book that I did this morning. When I read it, the tip was, so you write early morning. This is not something that I've been doing, which I really should, but it's really hard to get up early. So you write before you see anything, before you read anything, is what I mean. Before you say anything, you get up early, you write, and then you go about your day. And then, like a month later, you go back and you look at what you wrote, and you see what is good, and you see what is bad, and you see what you write, and what works for you, and what you need to work on. You really analyze that. And then the next step is to take what you've learned from that, and then you figure out you're going to write a story. So you're going to write a short story in one sitting. And what you have to do before you write that short story is you figure out what it is and everything that you could possibly want to know about that short story. So like the example that the author uses is from somebody else. It's from like a quote. And sorry, I thought the motorcycle was an earthquake. There was an earthquake in SoCal, and I'm from North Cal, and I've been so paranoid about it recently because this house does not have a foundation. So I feel like if we do have an earthquake, we're just gonna fall into a pit. So anyway, it's a very old house. So as the author, you need to know what is the doorknob that your character uses to open the door. Like, what does every aspect of your story look like? And you're not going to use like 80% of what you know about that world. And this is where I've always faltered, is I don't know almost anything about the world until I write it. And I've heard this kind of advice before, and I think it really does help the conscious mind, like the active writing, editing person, to have stuff to go with, to go with things when they've already existed. And here's where I kind of understand the idea of plotting, is to plan out what is happening before you write it so that you know what's happening and then you can just write it. But here's the thing that doesn't work with me for that, is for me, it made so much more sense hearing it as you need to know every aspect of your world and your story before you write it, so that you can pick from all of that the things that are in your story. And I guess the big distinction for me is that I'm not going to be plotting out certain points of where the characters are going to. I'm not going to be figuring out all of the character backstories and everything. That's for some reason that doesn't work for me. The thing that makes sense to me is that I need to know everything that I can know before, which also seems insurmountable, but I think it makes sense. But here's where I also see kind of a hole that you can fall into, is if you don't give yourself a time limit on when you can know all of these things, then you'll just spend forever learning about the world. And so that's what I've done in the past, is I've just spent a lot of time just daydreaming about these different story worlds and then never actually writing a plot down. But I felt so much stronger about my characters and the world, and I mean, like, to an extent you don't even care if a story is told because you know the world. And the kind of the impetus to tell that story is that you spend enough time without words and you need to tell the story. So I wonder how she would feel about AuthorTube stuff, because she does mention a lot of things about, like, if you tell somebody what you're writing, you're not going to want to write it anymore, which I've definitely experienced. If you tell somebody, like, every aspect of the story that you're working on, then you really have limited your drive to actually tell that story. So I really wanted to share those insights because I think that'll help me a lot more in the future. I don't think that's going to help me, to be honest. I don't think that's going to help me with my current project, but that's okay. My current project can be a learning project, and I think I can do a lot of work on it in edits. It's just not going to be the story that I intended it to be. And I think with the original intention, if I sat down with that original intention and really thought about it, and thought about the world, and thought about the people, without writing anything, then I would have been starting in a much more solid place than I had started. Which, again, is fine. Winging it is fine because you find a different story, and that's a very cool process. I am looking to be a little bit more intentional with what I'm writing because I have certain things that I want to talk about, and like I want to share certain types of stories. So I am going to follow through with, I think it's 30 or 31 different writing prompts. I'm going to do those. I'm going to look at those. I'm going to analyze those, even if I'm not doing it early in the morning, which I might start doing that. You know, it's just, I have trouble falling asleep sometimes, and then I'm like, well, I can't wake up early today. And yeah, so anyway, so my thought is I do that, and then I pick a favorite one of those, and then I think about every aspect of what that could be to make it a story, and then I'm gonna write a short story in one day. So this is, I know this is, I'm kind of muddling up my concepts, my Camp NaNoWriMo writing project and my outside of Camp NaNoWriMo kind of writing experiment. But I really think, holistically, they're all combined in a just exploration of trying to be a better writer. So that's where I'm going. I will see you later. Hello, it is Wednesday, July 10th, and I'm pretty sure I didn't film anything yesterday. I did write a bit, and then I took a shower, and then I went to bed. So I'm pretty sure I didn't film. I am feeling not unmotivated to write in general. I do feel quite motivated to write after reading Becoming a Writer. I do feel quite unmotivated to continue on my current project. I am so stuck of what I should do because I'm not into what I'm writing currently. I can kind of see where the plot is going and how that works out. I can see all of that, but I'm just not really interested in writing it. I'm gonna do it anyway so that I will have a first draft. I might try to start writing more quickly and more unfinished. Although that might be a little bit disheartening for me later when I'm trying to edit. Yeah, I just really need to figure out a way to finish what I'm writing. And in general, recently I've just been feeling really terrible and unmotivated in general. But I have been having a pretty good time with doing the daily writing prompt project. I actually did 2 today, and I felt pretty good about that. But it is difficult to make myself write my story right now. So I think I'm just gonna try and write the bare minimum amount of words. And if I don't feel like more in a groove by then I'm just gonna switch to something else. I did do some drawing today. It's using the same prompts as the photography prompts. I can show you. I did a writing using the prompt leaf, and the photo that I took for the prompt is inspiration. So then I did a little drawing of an ant, some leaves. This is with watercolor. And then this leaf, this is based off of the actual photo. I'm not so happy with the ant on it, but I do like the effect of the leaf itself. And then I did this watercolor and colored pencil sketch of an ant on a leaf as well. I'm going to try. I'm not giving up on it. At this point I'm not so sure if the right thing to do is to go back and remove the elements that I don't agree with anymore, or if the right thing to do is to just continue with what I have because that's the story that I've discovered. You know what I mean? I think I might do a time lapse of me writing to help inspire me. Let's try.